Some people poke at your emotions just to feel important. Think about that. A person can feel powerful simply because they ruined your peace for 5 minutes. Pathetic, but dangerous. Because if you are emotionally impulsive, they can control your entire day. One message, one insult, one cold expression, and boom, your mind is burning. Your chest gets tight, your thoughts become loud, your emotions start running like frightened children. That is how people lose themselves. Reaction by reaction. Most humans are predictable. Insult them, they explode. Ignore them, they chase. Praise them, they obey. Simple creatures. But then, there are those rare people pain transformed. People who learn silence through disappointment. They no longer react immediately. They pause. They observe. They breathe first. And that tiny pause changes everything. Because emotional control is terrifying. Not loud control, quiet control. The kind where someone insults you and you just stare at them calmly. No defense, no emotional performance, no panic. That calmness makes weak people uncomfortable because now they cannot enter your mind anymore. You know what destroys manipulators? Confusion. Not revenge, confusion. When they cannot understand why you stayed calm, they begin fighting themselves inside their own head. And honestly, some of the strongest people alive look emotionally detached, not because life was easy, but because reacting to everything almost destroyed them once. So now they protect their peace like a wounded animal protects its final breath. Quietly, carefully, cold hands, heavy eyes, tired soul. And after a while, people stop trying to control them because they realize something frightening. You cannot manipulate someone who already made peace with silence. Most people will call you different the moment you stop reacting emotionally. Not stronger, not wiser, different. Because calmness changes your face. Your eyes stop searching for approval. Your voice becomes slower. Your presence becomes heavier. Pain does that. You start noticing things normal people ignore. Fake concern, forced laughter, respect that only appears when you are useful. And once you notice it, you cannot unsee it anymore. That is the curse of awareness. The innocent version of you dies quietly, not dramatically, quietly. Some of you are still trying to be understood by people who already decided to misunderstand you. Why? Why keep explaining your heart to people committed to seeing you incorrectly? That exhaustion, that deep emotional exhaustion, comes from repeating yourself to deaf souls. Listen carefully. Not every disrespect deserves a reaction. Not every insult deserves your energy. Not every betrayal deserves revenge. Sometimes the strongest response is the absence of one. Because silence forces people to sit alone with their own behavior, and many people cannot survive that mirror. They want noise from you, begging, crying, anger, anything that proves they still control your emotions. But when you remain calm, their power begins collapsing quietly. And no one talks about how lonely emotional control really is. Because sometimes you stay silent while your chest is screaming. You smile politely while disappointment tears through your ribs. But you learn something important. Peace is expensive, and reacting to every fool costs too much. You know what hurts the most? Realizing you wasted years reacting to people who were never emotionally mature enough to understand you in the first place. That realization changes the way a person speaks, the way they trust, the way they love. Because after enough disappointment, your nervous system becomes tired. Not weak, tired. There is a difference. Weak people react to everything. Strong people choose carefully what deserves access to their emotions. That control is not natural. It is built. Built from betrayal. Built from humiliation. Built from nights where you sat alone replaying conversations in your head. Thinking. What did I do wrong? Sometimes nothing. Sometimes you simply loved people who only understood your value after losing access to you. Humans are strange. They ignore calm loyalty, then panic when it disappears. And honestly, some people do not miss you. They miss controlling your kindness. That is why your silence irritates them, because silence removes emotional access. No arguments, no explanations, no desperate paragraphs at 2 a.m. Just distance. Cold, quiet distance. And distance reveals truth faster than confrontation ever will. Watch carefully what people do when they can no longer control your emotions. Some become kinder. Some become crueler. Some expose themselves completely. Interesting, isn't it? How quickly masks fall when reactions disappear. The painful part is, emotional discipline often looks like coldness from the outside. Nobody sees the storm you swallowed to stay calm. Nobody hears the scream trapped behind your teeth. Nobody notices how many times you wanted to break, but chose dignity instead. That quiet restraint, that terrifying self-control, is sometimes the only thing holding a damaged soul together. So no, being calm does not mean you feel nothing. It means you learned not every emotion deserves an audience. There are people walking around right now who still believe they own access to your emotions. People who think one message can destroy your peace, one insult, one memory, one cold little sentence. Maybe once upon a time, maybe before the disappointment, before the sleepless nights, before reality carved exhaustion into your face. But pain changes people quietly, not loudly. That is the funny part. Most transformations happen in silence. No dramatic music, no speeches, no audience. Just a tired human being sitting alone, finally deciding they cannot survive like this anymore. And from that moment, something dangerous begins growing inside them. Emotional discipline. Not emotionlessness, discipline. There is a difference. Emotionless people become empty. Disciplined people become controlled storms. Calm outside, chaos underneath. Some of you mastered smiling while your heart was collapsing. Mastered speaking normally while anxiety crushed your chest. Mastered silence because nobody truly listened anyway. And eventually, that silence became your armor. Funny, right? The same people who called you too emotional become terrified when you stop reacting emotionally at all. Because now, they cannot reach you the same way anymore. Manipulators need emotional openings. Guilt, fear, loneliness, attachment. That is how they enter. But once a person learns self-control, those doors begin closing one by one. And people panic when the version of you they controlled disappears. And they notice the delayed replies, the shorter conversations, the calmer eyes, the absence of desperation. And suddenly, they feel powerless. You want to know something sad? Most humans only respect emotional boundaries after they realize they lost emotional influence. That is why some souls become colder with time. Not because they hate people, because they got tired of bleeding in places where nobody cared. There is a specific kind of loneliness that comes from understanding too much, understanding intentions, understanding manipulation, understanding fake affection. After that, innocence becomes difficult. You stop reacting quickly. You stop trusting easily. You stop explaining yourself endlessly. Not out of arrogance, out of survival. Because constantly reacting to disrespect slowly destroys the nervous system. And one day, you realize peace feels better than proving your point. Peace, real peace, is a very lonely thing sometimes. Because the moment you stop reacting emotionally, you start losing people who were only attached to your reactions. Some people never loved your soul. They loved access. Access to your attention. Access to your softness. Access to your emotional availability. And when that access disappears, their behavior changes frighteningly fast. Watch carefully how people behave when guilt no longer controls you, when fear no longer controls you, when loneliness no longer controls you. That is where truth reveals itself, not during comfort, during emotional distance. Because distance removes performance. People stop pretending when they think they lost influence over you. And honestly, some of the calmest people you meet are simply exhausted survivors. Not gurus, not saints, survivors. People who spent years reacting,